Good morning, friends. So, today I'm going to break a big myth that all the people are saying and all the opposition teams are saying, like the government is having debt. So, basically, this allegation comes upon US. Like USA has a lot of debt. So, let's ask how much is US debt? So, how much money does US? See, so the US government owes over 38 trillion in national debt as of early 2026. So it's just 38 trillion, guys. It's like, 38 lakh crore dollars. And if you convert it into Indian INR, it is like just, 3,800 lakh crores. That's it. But see, even the decision makers uh, who decides whether to borrow money or not would have at least did some masters in finance, right? So they would know whether to borrow money, whether borrowing money is safe or not, right? So obviously then they will know, right, how to pay off this debt, or how to not pay off and just pay the interest and keep rolling over this debt. Like US government borrows say $1 trillion, and US government is saying that I'll pay back this $1 trillion after 10 years. 10 years later, the government is lending is borrowing money from some other guys, and they give you your money, so they can roll over, right? Like, taking a credit card, and then once it is matured, take a new credit card, and then just roll over the principal from the newer credit card to the older credit card, that system. So if in that way, if you can roll over your principal amount, you just need to you just need to pay your interest, and you can use that principal capital for the development of the country. Luckily, if the country develops and if the country is producing well, then you can pay off the debt, or you can keep on rolling over. And until what point you can roll over until the interest paid is how much the country is generating. So let's see what is the GDP. See, US GDP is around 30.6 trillion for 2025, and the nominal GDP is around 29.18 trillion. So now we should know what is the amount, what is the interest for this 38 trillion, right? So, and the economy shows a steady growth with projections around 2 to 2.1 percentage annually. Every year USA is growing 2 to 2.1 percentage. So every year this 30.6 trillion GDP will increase by 2 to 2.1 percentage. So that is keep that point in mind. Now, so let's ask how US. We should know whether the US have taken loans from bank, or we need to know how they borrow money, right? So basically, US government borrows monies via treasuries, T-bills. That is, government says, give me money. We will use it to build the infrastructure like railways or other government services, and we will pay back uh, after 10 years or 5 years based on the maturity of the T-bills, and the interest will be paid by the US government. Then there is government bonds, T bonds. This is also same paper, but this bonds they issue for a particular period and particular interest rate. So whenever there is a deficit, then US government issue more bonds. And if you see here, uh, the maturity of T notes is 2 to 10 years, and the maturity of T bonds is 20 to 30 years. So, say let's assume that major 10-year and 30-year bonds are more famous. Or basically, people buy 10 years and 30-year bond. So, now the major challenge with the US government is, they have to stop, they have to roll over, right? So if they have to roll over, they need to, the investor should think this is the right time to buy bonds, right? So how are they buying bonds? They are buying bonds using US dollar. So either the US dollar should be cheaper to buy bonds, or the bond rate should be very low. So see, you are lending money to the USA, right? So whenever, if you feel like if USA is stronger, then the amount of money you lend to US will be higher. So the second scenario is US should be the most safest place to invest, and the dollar value should be cheaper. So if these two things happens, that is the perfect time for uh, the wealthier people from other countries to pay, or to buy US bonds. So if and when will US become stronger? When there are crises globally. If there is crisis globally, then other developing countries and underdeveloped countries won't be able to get more, you know, those countries become unsafe because there is either recession or there is a global depression. So wealthier people won't uh, invest money in their business because they know that the businesses are not going to give them returns. So that time, they, instead of keeping their money in the locker, they keep they buy bonds because it's not safe to put their money in the banks because the banks will be bankrupt during those periods. So for the US government to roll over the debt, the US government have to project as if the banks are not safe. There is a global crisis. Because of the global crisis, USA is the most safest place to put your money, so that it can attract all the wealthy people around the world. So these are the conditions that the US government has to bring in for them to roll over their bonds. So let's see. So if you know, like, when is these T bills, or let's see, when is this T bills or government bonds maturing, right? By that we will know when is the global crisis or global depression going to come. So in order to know when it matures, we'll ask Google. So first we'll ask, uh, so there is no maturing, it's an ongoing, securities issued periodically. So they just issue, and it's an ongoing, and whenever they want they can take back. So when 10-year note issued today matures in 10 years, and now 30-year bond issued now matures in 30 years. This auction held regularly for new notes, especially in February, May, August, and November. So second month of the year, fifth month of the year, then ninth month of the year, and 11th month of the year. So see, so there is no specific maturity dates, but it is like from 10 years or 30 years from the bonds are bought. So if you know the previous uh, global depression or Great Depression, you can predict uh, the years at which the wealthy people would have converted their. See, wealthy people will know when it is going to come, right? So they would have bought these bond before those periods. So that is the time where the major bonds would have been bought, and say it's in trillions of dollars. So they would have bought these bonds taking 1 year or 2 years. So if you so let's search for when was the major crisis happened. So there was this Great Depression, which happened in 1930s. Then there was an Asian financial crisis, which happened in 1997. Then there was this dot-com bubble, which happened in 2000, and severe financial crisis happened in 2007 2009. So see, during Great Depression around 1930s, that is, I think, the time where people bought a lot of bonds. So if you add 30 years from now, you will know which are the years for future. I mean, the future prices are going to come, right? So let's see. 1930, 1960, 1990, 2020. Wow. So I think you got the reason why there was a global crisis around 2020, right? Because that is when 30-year T-bill matures, and that is when the government has to repay back the bonds and issue new bonds. So they issued a lot of bonds around 2020. Great. Then 2050. So the next bigger crisis, or the next bigger global depression will happen. Will I would say will end around 2050, because once the money is in, then the world will restart. So it is going to end around 2050, but we need to know the beginning. So the beginning should be when the 10-year bonds mature, right? So this is what is going to happen in USA. So obviously, if it is 1930, every 10 years, 10-year bond matures. So around now, the next 2020 was the year where 10-year bond matures. So next 10-year bond is maturing at 2030. So when this 10-year bond matures, that time you will not have a global depression, but there will be recessions in certain countries for sure. This is for USA. So when the currency now, if the US dollar is cheaper, then you can see, when you know that US dollar is going to fall, obviously you will shift your US dollar into other countries, right? So they would have shifted their currencies into other countries, like Asian countries. So if you see the Asian crisis happened around 1997, 1998. So 1997, 1998, Asian currencies were cheaper. So now during that time, obviously, Asian bonds would have started, right? Countries would have started printing, Indian bonds or Asian bonds like that. So 1997, this is Asia. 30 years will be 2027. So I think in next 2 years there will be a big crisis that is going to happen in the Asian regions. So beware, guys. By 2027, Asian countries would play some drama and tell as if our economies are weaker. So please stop. Please, so our currencies are very cheaper. So we are unable to either you can pay back or they will attract bonds around 2027. Wow. So around 2027 Asian currencies will be like more cheaper. So the US guys can invest or flow money to Asia, buy bonds, pledge the bonds around 2027, pledge the bonds when the currency is higher. So by 2030, the Asian currencies will be increasing, and by that time, US dollar will be falling. So 2027 to 2030, the US dollar will fall, and the Asian currency will rise. So it's a 3 year period. 3 year period. Uh, so if the US dollar is going to start falling from 2027, then the rich people would have, and they have to uh, do this transaction for 3 years. So around 2024, the US dollar would have uh, reached its peak, or their big players would have started selling US dollar, which I don't know. So this is the story. 2027 Asian currencies will be having low value, and US dollar will have higher value. So, and if you see other dates, so Asia 2027 minus 1997, 2007, then 2017. Wow. So 2017, the INR fell, and the US dollar was peak. And around 2020, there was a crisis in USA. So it's like a 3 year trade. 2070, Asian currencies are low. So they buy Asian bonds, and around 2020, US currency is low, so they buy US bonds. So now they use crisis in Asia to uh, get a profit from the forex and the bond trades in Asia, use that profit and put it in US, and then trade for 7 years. So keep it for 7 years, and then do this process again. So this is how the rich people consistently makes money, and bring in recessions and everything. So we can expect a crisis around 2027 for sure. Now let's see. So according to this analysis, the rich people would have started selling dollar from 2024. So let's see what USD INR says. So US dollar INR say what it says. So bottom thing is USD INR. I'm sorry. There is some other way. We'll use some other app because this is so complicated. So USD INR chart grow app. So currently US dollar is around 90. So if you see here, we need to change the time frame from 2024. So from 2024, the dollar value have started. If you see 2024, the value was around 81. From 81 to 90, see the dollar value have risen, and it almost reached the peak around peak up to 90 rupees, 90 US dollar. So was it a real buy or a fake buy? See, since because of the advancement in technology, they can arrange dollar say in 2 years instead of 3 years. Then it's around 2025. So if it is around 2025 or 2024, this is the peak most point. Let me see how to expand this. Yeah, so see, my Google account have trading view, but it's complicated. So I am, using an incognito mode to show you the story. So let's keep it in a monthly way. So if you see the periods where the dollar was cheaper, see around 2007 2008, the dollar was cheaper. So they would have bought or started buying US dollar. They would have started investing in US bonds from 2007 because that is the period where it was so attractive. And if you see the dates over here, see 2010, there was 2020, 2010, everyone is aware of 2008 crisis. So that is the period where the US dollar was weaker, and that is an attractive period where they buy bonds. And around 2010, this was the ultra rich buying for 3 years. So they bought from 2007 to 2010, and this dip is 2010, which is like normal people, they require months to buy. And then there was no major fall after 2007, and another fall happened around 2020 during Corona. So during 2020, normal people bought, and around 2017, ultra rich started buying bonds. So now, so based on this 3 year analysis, I think the ultra rich would have started buying US bonds, and buying US bond from 2024, because they require 3 years of time. And that is when, and now around 2030, around 2027, there is an Asian crisis coming. um, so that is when, the dollar stabilizes. It goes in a sideways move, and that is when, the Asian currencies fall. And when the Asian currencies fall, that is when they are going to transfer US dollar into Asian currencies, and by 2027 they would have a lot of Asian bonds. And then, the Asian countries will start developing, so the interest, the Asian bond value will start rising, and that is when they'll sell Asian bonds, and then they'll start buying US bonds. So this is how they are going to trade US and Asian bonds. So dollar is going to go sideways from 20. It had already started going sideways from 2025. There was a fall. Now it will start going sideways till 2027, because ultra rich people are selling. So if they are selling, then it cannot, rise higher or faster. So they are selling, and Asian bonds values are going to go higher. Another reason is, if you see it's a technical reason. Mm, like if you see, before, this was around 2000. Yeah, 2000, the dollar was so powerful. So if you measure this length, it's almost 49 40. So from 40 40 price, I mean, like, dollar appreciated 40 till 2000, then it fell. So obviously another 40 points has to come technically. So it's over here, 80, 81. So the rich started selling around 80, 81, and that's why, you will find a sideways move when the, yeah, I'll not say this as a so see, I'll so let's reload. This is, they're, not allowing me to protect you guys. Okay, so around 2022, they have started selling. That's why, the dollar was not rising, and exactly around 2024 it fell for 3 consecutive months, and then it was sideways till August. So this is how they have started parking their money. So there is an Asian crisis that is going to come around 2027. Beware of it. And till 2027, if US dollar is going to go sideways, then there is not much money coming uh, to Indian IT companies. So there is no growth in Indian IT companies. There is no salary hike in Indian IT companies. But inflation is going to go higher. So the savings and the save the ability to save is going to go low from today to 2027. So the investments will be lower in Asia from today to 2027. And if investments are going to go less, then there will be market crashes, and then there will be unemployment, and there will be a massive unemployment that is going to happen by 2027. And for the government, for in order, I mean, see, the governments need to tell as if it is not their mistake, right? So they are going to play a drama like a war or something with some countries, and they are going to hide this strategy. So if there is any war happening during this period from 2026 to 2027, it is completely for the wealthy people to do their bond trades, nothing much. So don't hate others for the crisis that has higher probability to happen between 2026 January 1 and 2027 December 31. Have a great day, guys.